Hello there everybody, how's everybody doing today? As you can see, I've put it onto the actual stream so everybody knows that I'm actually live. So it should be quite good, quite interesting. How's everybody doing today? Do you like the new layout? Do you see how everything is? Let me know what you guys actually think, because I can see you in the chat and I can see things going on. So it should be quite interesting, to be fair. How's everybody doing today? Hello JJ, how you doing, mate? How you doing? Good seeing you. So, yeah, I've kind of wanted to do this for quite a while, try and do an OBS live stream. I haven't been able to for quite some time, because I'm an idiot and very, very stupid when it comes to this. Very, very stupid. But at the same time, I've been able to work it out eventually. I haven't been able to get there. So hopefully it should be okay. Should be half decent. I've got a couple of decent stories for you as well, so hopefully it should be okay. Yeah, it's quite interesting being on your own. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done something like this. It's been very, very a while. Yeah. Right. Let's go on with the story, shall we? Right. Actually, no. What I'll do is I'll let the chat have a quick pick. I've got 5 stories that are set up. Would you like me to start with the Superdry fashion label that hands £1 million over and give you my impressions on that? Would you like me to start with a driver faces over £100 fine if you're just over 1 mile per hour quicker? Would you like me to do the FGM story? Would you like me to do the bullfighter story? Or would you like me to do the Hala story where they've been fined and other bits and pieces like that? So let me know in the chat in what way you would do it. Do it from 1 to 5 and what you would like. So let me know on that aspect, please. So 1 from the Independent and obviously 5 for the very last story and 1 all the way through to 5. So let me know what you would think of the story that we should do first. Interaction might be a bit slow. Okay. Well, if I'm not going to get any interaction, well, that's absolutely not a problem. What I'll do is then, until I start getting some interaction, I will go on to... Thank you very much, Memes. That gives me a very good idea of what I need to do and what story I should start off with. Looks like you want me to start off with the 1 first, so I'll start with the 1, which is the Independent story. So what I'll do is then, I'll start with the Independent story. Well, the Independent story is... Oh, you want free? Doesn't matter to me. Okay, well, that's fair enough. What I'll do is then I will start off with the Independent, and then I will do the 3rd story and go that way. I'll let the chat decide. Right, let's get into that, shall we? So, entrepreneur behind Superdry fashion label hands £1 million to Brexit referendum campaign. So let's go further down on this then. You've got the Independent video crap there that's going on about it, but we're not going to bother about that today. So, the businessman behind the Superdry fashion label is donating £1 million to the People's Vote campaign for a new referendum on Brexit. Interesting, isn't it, how they framed that? Is donating £1 million to the People's Vote campaign for a new referendum. So, even when they're trying to say that it's about a people's vote, they're still actually letting slip that it's not about a people's vote. It is still about changing the referendum result. So, Julian Dunkerton, great name by the way, great name, said he was giving the money because there is no vision for Brexit being offered by the government. Well, even I would actually say that there is a vision for it. That there is a Chequers deal. It's not a great vision, I will give you that, and I will say that forever and a day. But there is a vision for it. There is definitely a vision for a Brexit. In fact, there is a two-way vision for it at this moment in time. You could say that you have the Chequers deal, which is falling apart piece by piece, day by day, and thank God for that. Or you have the idea of walking away, having a no deal, depending if the EU is actually going to give some form of concessions. I don't know, and I'm not in Parliament, obviously, not yet. So, yeah, there is an actual vision for Brexit. It's just not the one that you want. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's not the one that you want. So, it will be used to launch one of the biggest polling operations ever undertaken in UK politics. Because everybody knows that a poll gives a definitive definition of how a country feels. Almost like asking people to have a vote. Almost like a referendum, possibly? Aha! Never, never. With 73 to 74% of the population actually voting, the highest percentage of population outcome and outturn ever. Yeah. But let's do a polling operation. Let's do a polling operation to be able to see if we can get enough people to swing to the idea that we are, or force propaganda stages so that we can actually force people to think that there is actually a way forward with this. Anyway, let's just move on with that one, shall we? To bolster the campaign for a new public vote. Yeah, they say it's for a public vote. It's not for a public vote at all. It's for the idea of gaining a second referendum. Excuse me, sorry about that. It also comes after The Independent launched its own Final Say campaign to demand a new referendum on the outcome of Brexit. So let's have a quick look at this campaign that they've actually done then, because that'll be quite interesting to have a quick look. So they've got the Final Say little bit up. Let's come up there. Sorry that it's taking this time to load. Obviously, with the streaming and everything else like that, it's kind of made the internet a little bit slower than normal. I'm just grateful and happy that it's actually still alive and still moving. By the way, if anybody actually has any problem or it starts buffering or anything else like that, please let me know in the chat. I will try and keep a hold of it. Yeah, I'm not going to bother watching an actual video on it. That's just a waste of time. So going back to the actual story. Might be the last time I actually use a hyperlink in an actual story. So why is it still loading? How is actually everybody doing then? Because it's been a while since I've seen you all. It has been a while. By the way, I would like to point out that Memes has a video on his channel of me and the Venomant Degenerate and himself talking about healthcare as well. I suggest that you go and watch that. And when you do go and watch that, remember that we were trying to find common ground. We weren't actually trying to pinpoint all the arguments that were supposed to be there. We did have some criticisms, which is absolutely fine, obviously. But the criticisms were the case of, oh, nobody made any counterpoints to anything that was going on. Even though it was a form of, as I said, a common ground, we did have a disagreement. And we definitely disagreed towards the end. I advise you to go and watch the end of the video. I think that was pretty good. We started to get into a flow of things. The conversations were actually really free-flowing. I do suggest that you go and watch that. And that's obviously on the Memes of Destruction channel. Do subscribe to him as well. I think he only has around about 30 subscribers at the moment. So please go and support him. If he does be able to get this idea of getting the common ground up and running, I think it would be an actual asset to actually have on YouTube as a friend. Because whenever you want to have a mediator or somebody to be able to actually have a debate and a conversation, I think that Memes would be the best guy to be able to have that with and for. So with that being said, please subscribe to the Memes of Destruction because I think there's a lot more coming from him and I think he's got a lot more to say. So, as Memes just said, yay! Promotion! Promotion! So right, let's get back to this story then, shall I? Because otherwise we'll be here all bloody night. So, let me just get down so everybody can read everything properly. It also comes, as we've already just read that, with more than 660,000 having signed a petition. well, that seems completely different to a final say campaign. I will just have a quick look at this, actually, to be fair. Just a quick one, just to see how long it takes to load and everything else like that. So, a final say, the Brexit deal referendum campaign. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yes, I know. I've put a video on a particular Facebook channel and I'm getting lots of notifications about it. So they have 691,990 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have signed it. Let's have a read of what it actually says. So regardless of how you voted in the Brexit referendum, you deserve a say on the final deal. Wait, that's not a people's vote for the referendum, is it? That's a final say on the deal. These are two completely and utterly different campaigns. You've got one that's campaigning for an actual people's vote, and you've got one that's masquerading from the Independent, trying to get their version of it up, that is actually a vote on the final deal. And if anybody knows my views on this, it's a case of us as the people have the vote to be able to decide if we want to leave the European Union. I do not think that the general public, with our limited knowledge on trade deals and trade arrangements and international politics themselves, should come up with the idea of being able to decide if we agree with this deal or not. I do feel that we should have probably a say beforehand, of saying that we don't necessarily want it, but I don't think that we should have a public vote on it. Because the idea of having a public vote on an actual final deal can lead to the point of scuppering the deal. Even if you have the best deal that you could ever possibly get with free trade, free arrangement, free everything, if you can get that, there will still be people that are so bitter about leaving the EU no matter what, that they would still vote against the deal anyway. I'm not saying that they would win it, but they would vote against it on principle and on purpose. You cannot have a democracy when it lives like that. There are certain things that you can and should be voting on, and there's certain things that you should and shouldn't be voting on. And I think that this is one of them. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to the actual news. Apparently this is news. So, Mr. Dunkerton, again, lovely name, explained that Superdry would never have become the global success it did if Brexit had happened 20 years earlier, leading to the burdensome customs and tariffs, and making it difficult to open outside the UK. See, he says that it makes it difficult to open outside of the UK, but the thing is, if you get an actual trade deal that's anything near, like, the ECU or the EC, basically the Scandinavian, if you get a deal that's very, very similar to that, then you have the option of being able to do that. If you get a deal where it's similar, where we're in sort of a form of customs union, where it's a case of we have free trade without the freedom of movement, then you're laughing anyway. Yes, I know that's a cake and eat it too scenario. I do understand that. But even if you were to go and crash out, as they would say, which is not an actual crash out, by the way, it is just going to WTO rules. And if you were to go to WTO rules, our percentage for paying into the EU at this moment in time is around about 30% on certain tariffs. And those are the highest that we pay on certain tariffs. Now, for what he was actually saying for WTO rules, would actually be cheaper. It would actually be cheaper because actually food and clothing and footwear is actually one of the lowest forms of tariffs that are in the WTO. So he would actually be better off anyway. But let's say he isn't. The highest ever that a trade organisation or in the WTF rules has ever gone up to is 43%. So even if it was at the highest percentage that it could ever be for us to be trading with the EU, it would be at 43%, which means that it would be a 13% increase. That is not the end of the world. Yes, it's an increase, but it's not the end of the world. So let's carry on very quickly. He said, I'm putting some of my money behind the People's Vote campaign because we have a genuine chance to turn this around. So let's just listen to what he actually said there very, very quickly. I don't mean to waste people's time. But we have money behind the People's Vote campaign because we have a genuine chance to turn this around. Now, this is obviously me implying, and this is me trying to form an interpretation, But at the same time, do you not think yourselves that when he says this is a genuine chance to turn this around, that he means the actual referendum result itself? The idea of being able to turn the referendum around so we're not leaving Europe? He then goes on to say, I've got a good instinct for when a mood is going to change, and we're in one of those moments now. And I have to agree with him on that. But I don't think it's going the way that he thinks it's going to go. I honestly feel that it's actually going to the point of more and more people are actually going to be voting to leave, and most of the Remainers are actually going to change their mind on principle to say, no, we are Democrats in the actual purest sense, not the American sense, and actually going to do what democracy tells us to do. So you've got Jacobs Rees-Mogg there, which is suggests the Brexit referendum would be acceptable in clip from 2011. A while ago, my friend. A while ago. People's views change. People's views change. It's becoming clear now there is no vision for Brexit, and the politicians have made a mess of it. Increasingly, the public knows that Brexit is going to be a disaster. No. You, the media, and people that are supposedly business people, keep on coming out and telling us that you think it's going to be a disaster. They have done for over 4 years, 2 years before we had the referendum, and 2 years since the referendum. Everybody told us that our economy was going to collapse, that everybody would be out of work. It would be one of the highest populations of out of work. The thing is, most people are in work at this moment in time. Everything that they said was going to happen has not happened, not one iota. So when they say that, oh, it's going to be a disaster, all this is just a form of Project Fear. It's a continuation of trying to scare people into changing their minds, rather than debating the actual points. Maybe they just need to be given that little bit of hope that comes from when they see how opinion is moving. No, see, that in itself is just such a misleading sentence. Maybe they just need to be given that little bit of hope that comes when they see how opinion is moving. What happens if the opinion that you actually correlate from actual people outside, or collect, outside, is actually swaying against your ideology? Are you going to change that to fit your narrative? Are you going to change the questioning so then it fits your narrative and not publish the other one? Because that's what it feels like it might actually happen. And that's how it feels to me, at least, anyway. That it feels like it's going to happen that way, where yourself, or the people that are running the actual points of this opinion poll collection that you're putting so much effort in and £1 million into, might be a form of propaganda. Because after all, polling in America worked very well with Hillary Clinton, didn't it? Mr. Dunkerton, 53, stated out on £40 a week through the enterprise allowance in the 1980s, selling clothes from a market stall. Yeah, well done. He left Superdry earlier this year to focus on other business interest after overseeing its growth into a global brand with more than 500 retail outlets employing 4,500 people. So if it's so big, why would you leave it? Why would you leave it if it's so big? I don't understand that. Anyway, the money will help pay for regular publication of gold standard surveys of more than 10,000 voters at a time, as well as a series of others in different regions and sections of the electorate. Interesting. So, definitely trying to lean into the idea of propaganda then. Something like that. Big Blue Bluffs. Well, that's the end of that. Oh, The Independent is also joining forces with the People's Vote for a mass march through central London on the 20th October. So if anybody wanted to go to that, then you can. But definitely shows you that media itself is definitely on a biased pedestal if it's joining forces with the People's Vote, doesn't it? And obviously that's The Independent that I'm using at this moment in time. So, yeah, it does seem a little bit weird how media itself would actually do that. Really weird. that itself, media would actually say, we are joining forces with the people's vote to be able to do this and that. Does that mean that the people that are going to be doing the polls are being joining forces with the actual, I don't know, people's vote to try and find out in which sections of which land and in which counties have actually voted high themselves? So say, for instance, that in Lincolnshire, where I am, if you were to go up to Scunthorpe, for instance, it was a very, very iffy idea of if you were going to vote Leave or not. I think it was only just scraped through. But if you go through Scunthorpe and then you're able to say into an area that definitely voted for Remain, and you're able to poll them, and you still get something like the 70 to 40% or even the 60 to 40% chance of them getting a high Remain vote, they can then say that, oh, a city in Lincolnshire that was a very high Leave percentage in the actual Leave vote itself could then say, oh, the population has changed its mind in Lincolnshire from just taking that one city. That's quite interesting, isn't it? The same thing as if you were to go to any other outside rural area and actually try and sample size an area that's already got a strong Remain. It all depends on where the sample size is to what you're doing, even if it's as high as 10,000. But if you were to do it in a known Remain area of a particular county, you can quite easily skewer the results. The same as if you wanted to skewer the results into the Leave side of it. If you went into a high Leave area, if you went into somewhere like Boston, for instance, in Lincolnshire, I'm using that because I know the stats quite well, which was around about 60 to 40% again, that was for leaving. If you were to take that and go to the 40% of where people were remaining, you could then say that Boston has then changed its mind. The way that polling works is it's not a full representation the same as a voting system would work. It is can be anyway, a skewered version of what's going on. Yes, you are more likely to get an idea of what's going on, but it's more of a form of a correlation. So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Jensen... sorry, Jensen. You're not Jensen. You're definitely not Quinn. But RPR makes a very, very good point. We all know this plan was something to scupper the referendum result via the back door. Yeah, we have done. We've known that for a very long time, unfortunately. A very, very long time. It's just a point at the moment where everything seems to be doing the same thing. Everybody just seems to be throwing money into it and just trying to do exactly the same thing as what we already knew was going to happen. It's a sad, sad day, to be fair. I say sad, sad day. It's a sad state of affairs. Let me be honest with that. It's a sad state of affairs, especially when it's so blatantly obvious, where you have somebody like The Independent saying at the bottom of their news article that is promoting the idea of Superdry and what they've just done for the people's vote itself, and they actually say at the bottom that, oh yeah, we're actually joining everything. It's like, okay, you're joining, are you? You're joining the same idea. Right then, everybody, I've got one more question for everybody, and see what we can do for there. We have 4 stories left, because I don't plan on being on for a very long time, as it's my first solo live stream. But we're getting there. I'm getting used to it. I'm getting into the groove. I think I'm getting into the groove, one way or another. I'm not. It's getting there. But what do you guys want me to do next? Do you want to do the second story, which is now going to be number 1? We're now going to number them from 1 to 4. We've got a drivers face £100 fine. We've got the female genital mutilation story, which is now number 2. So if you want that story, press 2. We've got the bullfighter that has been run through, so to speak, for the 3rd time. That's number 3. So if you want that story, press 3. And we also have the Hulla slaughterhouse that is now being fined as well, and this is in England, and that is now number 4 on the story list. So if you want that, press number 4. So let's have a look and see how everybody is voting today. Right, so Miss Quinn has number 3. So, right, that's okay then. So we have 3. You cannot have 1337 again. You will not rise again. So we have a 3 and all 2. I have a 3 and 2. So, by the way, Miss Quinn, I think you meant the child female genital mutilation, didn't you? Which is now number 2, not number 3. Not unless you want the bullfighter. So we have 2 for number 4, so that's leading at this moment in time. It's leading at this moment in time. So I'm going to give that another minute and see how you guys vote. Though I don't know how many is actually there. So do you want 2 then, Quinn? Miss Quinn. Wow, this is getting weird. Do you want 2 instead of 3? Or do you want the actual bullfighter? Don't tell me you're having a look. Okay, so 3. So we have a 3-way fucking tie. Thank you guys. Make everything so fucking hard for me. We're voting for the idea of doing stories. I've finished my first story. We now have a selection of 4 stories that we can choose from. One of them's about drivers getting a fine. One of them's about female genital mutilation, which is number 2. We have a bullfighter getting the horn, so to speak, for the 3rd time in a year. That's number 3. And we have the 4th story, which is a slaughterhouse getting fined for cruelty. So at this moment in time, we are tied, Mr. Gamer. So if you want to take a choice on the actual vote, then we get to decide what we're going to do. Or anybody. Even Loafer Shell. No, you've already voted. God damn it. So literally, we're just waiting for one person to create an actual overall majority. The first past the post system. This is how direct democracy works. Okay, so we've got 3. So you want the bullfighter story then? Is that what you want? True. Oh, everybody wants that. So right, so we're going to the bullfighter story. Is that correct, everybody? Is that what we want? Yeah. Okay. No worries. Right. Let's get to the bull story, shall we? Oh, we're not doing well on that one. You know when you get everything set up and you think, yeah, that'll be good. I've got everything set up. And then you get adverts from fucking Google. You get adverts from bloody Google. All the bloody time. All the time. So the reason why you can't see the actual adverts is because I've not moved over to it yet. Because, you know, you don't need to see. You don't need to see. Right, let's move over. So, we are going to watch the video as well. But, I'm not going to play the sound for it, but there is a video for it. So, should be alright. This is from the Daily Mail anyway. So, horrific moment. Bullfighter is tossed in air as he's gored by a raging beast for the 3rd time in just 3 years. But coolly gets up and walks away. Because that's just what you do when you're a bullfighter, don't you? You just get up. So, Saul Jimenez Fortes, 28, was gored in the leg by an angry bull in Bilbao in Spain. Experienced bullfighter calmly gets up from his close escape as a crowd roars. Matador from Malaga was injured twice in 2015 and needed surgery on his neck. I think that you should really just kind of give up now. You're not doing too well. So, this is the shocker moment as Spanish bullfighter is sent flying into the air and is gored in the leg while performing in the ring, but calmly walks away. Basically, it's exactly the same as what we've just said. I'm guessing people want me to play it. I'm guessing. Should I play it? Alright then, let's play it. Just give me a second. Let's do it. Trigger warning. Yeah, that went well for him, didn't it? That went absolutely well for him. Very, very well done there. By the way, anybody that was wondering, I should have really have said, the stuff that's on the side of him are spear-like things, or in this idea that they're forms of axes or swords that have been spiked into him, into the bull, obviously. So, yeah, happy days. So, yeah, all of those are forms of stuff that's just been put into him, into the bull. So, yeah. But, yeah. Thank God that the actual animal gets his own back on him and unfortunately didn't cause more problems to the actual matador. Though that's my opinion, obviously. I mean, everybody else is going to have different opinions on it, so... Well, that was the end of that story. So, guess what, guys? We're going to have to actually bloody try and sort things out again. So, another vote, please, people. Another vote. So now it comes down to 3 stories. We now have The Driver's Fine, which is now number 1. We now have Female Genital Mutilation, which is number 2. And we have Haller Slaughterhouse, which is number 3. So the stories are now up to you again. So we have The Drivers and the Fine at number 1. So if you want that story, press 1. We have the Female Genital Mutilation story. As bad as it is actually a good story, which is now number 2. So if you want that story, press 2. And we also have the Haller Slaughterhouse as well. The boss is getting fined for malpractice, so to speak. And that is at number 3. So if you want that story, press 3. So with that all being said, how are we all getting on? Has anybody actually decided if they're going to vote this time? C. There is no C. There is no C. Email your local superstore for complaints. Yes. So, how's everybody actually doing? Right, so we want 3 at the moment. So, are you just pressing 3 all the time, Miss Quinn? Is that what you're doing? You're just pressing 3 all the time? You don't care what the stories are. You're just going to press 3, aren't you? 999. Right, I think we have a clear winner with number 3. Though I will give it another minute and see if anybody else is actually going to put in proper ideas of what's going on, apart from writing 1337. God damn it. Right, so I'm gonna guess that it's number 3 that we're doing. We're gonna do that Haller Slaughterhouse then. Well, that's fine. Absolutely fine. I actually like that idea, Mr. Gamer. I actually think that's a good idea. I think it takes more skill to move out of the way of the ball than it does to hit the ball. But that's my opinion. I'm a little bit of a softie when it comes to animals and things like that. So we're actually going to be doing the... we're actually going to do the Haller Slaughterhouse, which obviously is going to be about cows and everything else like that. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much. And let's get... By the way, there is a quite horrendous picture on here. I know that most people are not going to be trigger warnings or anything else like that need that happening on this channel. But for people that don't actually watch the channel very often, we're going to be talking about a slaughterhouse. There is going to be blood and there is going to be carcasses that are around. So if you're squeamish, please come back in around about 10 minutes. 10 minutes time, something like that. Or forward it 10 minutes. With that being said, I've done my due diligence. I have given my trigger warning for me leftists. So without further ado, as we like to say that nowadays, let's transition. Oh, another word we like to... Oh, I've transitioned. So, as you can see, a Haller Slaughterhouse boss who broke humane killing law fined just £400. So, for actually breaking the law, they actually only pay £400. So, as you can see there is obviously distressing content that's actually on this, but yeah. There's actually, I believe it's a sheep or a cow that's actually in the girder. There's actually one at the far end as well. There is obviously lots of blood everywhere. There's pools of blood all over the floor. The actual man himself that's standing there is frontally covered with blood, as well as the actual blood on the actual floor. So, the boss of Valhalla Slaughterhouse, exposed by the Sunday Mirror, have walked free from court with an unbelievably lenient fine of only £400. Now, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people are going to go, oh yeah, but they're only animals. They're going to die anyway. There's a reason why we have humane practices in killing animals. Yes, we're going to be eating them, and yes, they're going to die. But it's the simple practice of knowing that the animal didn't suffer as much when they were killed. A bolt gun to the back of their head, death in dignity, so to speak, rather than having their throats cut and then letting them bleed out, and then actually trying to tip them upside down eventually to drain the rest of the blood out while they're still alive. Remember that. They slit the throat to drain the blood while they're alive, because apparently that makes the meat so much sweeter. So much sweeter. So let's carry on. Carr's Abattoir, which is basically a slaughterhouse for Americans, has previously supplied Morrison's, yes, Morrison's, good old Morrison's, and was probed by authorities after a Sunday Mirror report. I really hope that I've just seen the picture underneath. Jesus. We told 2 years ago how secret camera footage showed sheep falling off of a restraining conveyor belt and being manhandled before having their throats slit without being stunned at Simply Halal in Banham, Norfolk. And, yeah. See that cow that's looking at you? It's alive. See the bit that's coming out right near the bottom with its neck being slit open? That's spewing blood out? Yeah, it's still fucking alive. Still alive. Sorry, there's certain things that really piss me off. One of them is obviously child sex and things like that, and one of them is needless cruelty to animals. And before anybody goes, oh, well, that's a bit sensitive... Look, I'm a meat eater. I eat meat. I proudly eat meat. That does not mean that I want to needlessly kill animals for no fucking reason. I want them to die as, in inverted air quotes, as humanely as possible. So the evidence gathered by Hillside Animal Sanctuary near Norwich has passed to the Food Standards Agency, which suspended the operating licence of the abattoir while animals were supposed to be killed in line with Islamic principles. Yes, barbaric fucking principles. The barbaric principles of literally slitting the throat of an animal, watching it walk around for a while so it almost is dead, and then grabbing it by the legs and then stringing it up by its legs to let it drain the rest of the blood out. Excuse me. Oh look, Slaughterman Akhtar Mahood, 53 of East Ham, London, who admitted 12 offences, and employee William Lanhan, 26 of Wymondham, Norfolk, who admitted 10 offences, were each ordered to pay £600. So for 10 offences that have been recorded and done, you have £600 for them. The thing is, this is not necessarily just about the animals for me. This is the fact that they are literally breaking the law, and because they are of a particular sect and of a particular religion and of a particular ideology, they get preferential treatment. It's one rule for one and one rule for another. And that's not the way that our Western society is supposed to be dictated. It's not the way it's supposed to be adhered to. But yet we have these animals, and I mean the people, we have these animals that are killing these other animals by slitting their throats and watching them die slowly. The practice that they're supposed to actually do is stun the animal so the animal is already dead and then slit its throat. That's the way that the practice is supposed to be done for their halal meat, which, if anybody didn't know, it actually subsidises terrorism, by the way, as well, which is in most of your local superstores, as in Tesco's, Morrison's, and I think they're in Asda as well. So you have District Judge Ken Sheraton expressed surprise that the maximum sentence he could give was a fine. Well, that's slightly better then. Slightly better. That is only a fact of they could only give the fine, I suppose. But it definitely needs to be increased then, doesn't it? Yeah, whatever. The head of certification for the Halal Regulatory Commission said his organisation had not certified the Simply Halal premises. Oh no, of course you didn't. Of course you didn't. But it was able to get the name of Halal though. Weird that. He added, "This is one of the worst cases of animal abuse that I have seen. They showed no regard for the welfare of the animals. I am surprised and shocked by the low sentence. Simply Halal should have been called simple cruelty." And another couple of pictures, I think it's the same one, so to speak. You have, yeah, it just pisses me off. Especially the fact that they don't really have too much to be able to do anything to actually these people. The laws need to be increased. The laws need to be done better. Wendy Valentine, the founder of Hillside Animal Sanctuary, said, "It is unbelievably lenient that they all escaped with a fine. I am shocked that they got off so lightly. Mahood breached animal welfare regulations by killing his sheep while the restrainer, which was meant to hold it, was still moving. He also slaughtered other sheep while they were lying upside down in the restrainer and killed another on the floor. Mahood had been slaughterman for 35 years but lost his license and is now a security guard." Wow. Doesn't bode well for that. That's obviously them when they did the actual spread. What do you guys think about this actual story then? What do you think that they got off too leniently? Do you think that they should have got more? Do you think that they had the right transactions happen to them? What do you guys actually think about this? I'd be interested in to actually think. Yep, suffered needlessly. Yep. That's true. It's not deep enough to kill them. It's just deep enough to be able to drain them out. Yeah. So what do you guys actually think about this then? Do you think it was a bad thing that this happened? Do you think that they got the, should we say, the justice that the animals deserved? Or what do you guys actually think? I'm just going to take a quick drink while you guys are... We do need more cowbells. We definitely need more cowbells. I don't think that they should get lifetime in jail. I don't think they should get that. I mean, don't be wrong, I am an animal lover. I do think that they should get prison time for it. I do think that. But I don't think they should get lifetime. Definitely not. Probably something like 2 to 5 years, something like that. You have to remember that the licensing that they actually give, they're actually trained for it. So it should be a punishable offence, not just a fine. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything that they want to say or anything else like that? I'm going to have a quick drink. My mouth is getting a little bit dry. Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with you on that one, Miss Quinn. I do think that they should get very similar treatment, possibly. Possibly they should get similar. I completely and utterly agree with you on that, Mr. Straight Sif Male. They definitely should not be tortured. And if we are going to eat the animal, they shouldn't be tortured at all. So I completely and utterly agree with you on that. Way to time everything in on that one, Mr. Sheffield. I like that. Make the slaughterhouse throat slitters do a quick and no training apprenticeship in bullfighting and tie lead weights around their feet. I think that is the best way of sorting out those type of people. And thank you very much for making me laugh. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit lagging. Thank you for letting me know on that one. Unfortunately, the internet's not always great. It's great, but we'll see what happens. It proves the need for instant and stricter laws around Hala, but I doubt that will happen. Well, I think there should be more stricter laws, or rather laws that are actually just perpetrated properly. And by that I mean prosecuted properly. Because if you actually have a different form of people that would do anything like that, they would be sent to prison. They would be sent to prison. But because of its practice, because of who they are, I don't think that they are able to get any sort of prison service for it. Or any sort of thing that's higher than a fine. So, yeah. It is because I live in the north. Fuck you, Quinn. Fuck you, Quinn. Yeah, right, okay, we've got two more stories left. We have 2 more stories left now. We're getting through these nice and quick. It might even only be an hour's stream, to be fair, tonight. Or an hour and a half stream. So it might be a decent one. So, excuse me, a bit of a yawn there. We have the driver's fine again, which is number 1, so vote for that for 1. Or we have the FGM story, which is 2. Please vote 1 for the driver's fine. Please vote 2 for the child FGM. So 1 or 2, please. There is no free, and there is no 13. There is no free. There is no free. It's nice to see that there is a lot of remnants with the Hallamite story, to be fair. Thank you very much, Moz, for the 1. Obviously, the driver's fine will be most of the people that comes into England. So we have 2 for 1. 3 for 1. Memes coming out with a 13-7B this time. So I'm guessing he means the second story. So we have 3 1s and 1 2. I'll leave it for another 20 seconds, see if anybody else comes in. So we have another 2B, so we now have 3 1s and 2 Bs. 2 2s, fuck you guys. Hello, Mr. Ogre. I'm absolutely amazed that you were able to get out of bed. I know that you've had some problems and that. It's good to see you, my friend. Sometimes it is better, sometimes it is, but I absolutely would love to have you on, my friend. I really would. Really would love to have you on. Unfortunately, I can't do that today because I'm not using Hangouts. So, yay! But I absolutely would love to have you on again, my friend. You know that. You know that. Wholeheartedly, mate. 1. Okay. Mr. Ogre has spoken. We are now going to be doing the driver's fine. Remember that this is actually done in England, so all the drivers and everything will be done, well, all the fines, not the drivers, sorry, will be done in England. So let's see the story, shall we? So we've got the story up there now. The Telegraph itself, I love it when that comes across, absolutely love it. So drivers face £100 fine for going 1 miles per hour over the speed limit. Generally, we had a buffer zone which was 10%. So if you were in a 30 miles per hour zone, you could go up to 33 miles per hour as a buffer, as a limit. Because the thing is with most cars is the speedometer themselves actually end up changing. So it's very hard to actually stick to that kind of speed limit, not unless you're directly and so far under it. There's just no room for fluctuation. So let's go down and actually read the story. I mean, for me, before we even get into it, it seems like it's a money orientated. Well, there we go. I should have really have realised that I only have a limited a limited amount on this. But motorists face being fined £100 for driving just 1 per hour above the speed limit. Under new toughened rules to clamp down on dangerous driving, it was reported. I don't think it is. I honestly don't think it is. This is a way of them being able to make money. If you're doing 55 and you're going 50, if you're doing 50 and if you're in a 50 and doing 55, that's not going to affect anything. If you're in a 30 and doing 33 miles per hour over the speed limit, that's not going to do anything. It's not going to change too much. It's the same as if you're doing 77, as our national speed limit is supposed to be 70. But that's the thing. This just seems like a money-making scheme to me. Sorry that I didn't actually check that if I could actually do this. I am partially registered with the Telegraph, but I'm not going to sign up and I'm not going to pay for it, so they can fuck off on that one. But what do you guys actually think? Do you think this is a money-making type of scheme, or do you think that it's an actual scheme that's designed to be able to stop people from getting run over? Even though speeding accidents are on the downfall, death by dangerous driving is actually going up. But if you actually look into the actual cases themselves, they don't seem to be a case of driving too fast and not being able to put the brakes on. Some of them actually seem quite targeted. So I just wanted to see what you guys actually thought about this, see what's actually going on. Well, that's the thing, though. If you get into the car and you start driving, you've accepted the laws that are of the land, rather than using the laws of man, so to speak. You've already accepted the laws because you're using a car. That's the reason why they're there. But this is just straight up extortion for me, which is what Wiki Snow says. That's all laws are revenue for the town, city, county, state. Just legal extortion. Yep. Yeah, no, it is definitely profit for all things, rather than it just being a case of actually, yeah, that's what it is, Mr. Straight Stiff Mail, that's what it is. For me, I definitely think that this is a case of, it's just a form of using that buffer zone. We used to, as I said before, we had a buffer zone that was for 10%, so 30 miles per hour, you had 33 as a leeway. They're now taking that down to 31. So, well, yeah, that is true, Quinn. You can only go 20 miles per hour in London. Which means that you can now only do 21 instead of 22 as your 10% buffer. But that's the point. The buffer wasn't there for the fact of being able to go a little bit faster. And that buffer zone is not going to be able to stop you from going 35 if you're in the 30. Because the buffer zone doesn't extend that far. So I don't get that. But, again, this just seems that it's completely and utterly for benefit of money. It really does. It really does seem that it's for the benefit of money. It doesn't seem that it's for the benefit of people. It doesn't seem that it's the benefit for the drivers. Where's the money actually going for the fines? Is it going back into government and then being redistributed in the whole government services? Is it going back on the roads? Because if it's going back onto the roads, then I don't really have too much of an actual problem of them taking £100. But if it goes into the councils and then the councils decide where the money's going, then for me that's a case of the money's just going to be completely lost in translation anyway. They're going to extort more money for their wages, so to speak, as they have done for a very, very long time. You make a very good point there, Moz. I mean, it is a case of how else are they going to make money, because at the end of the day, that's what we need at this moment in time. We need money. We are not stagnating as in an economy, but because we're having more and more people coming in, our taxes are not being paid properly by people that are obviously illegal because they can't physically work. And if they do work, it's not a taxation job, is it, or a tax job that's going to help the nation, so to speak. I don't know. I find that very, very interesting that they've got rid of the buffer zone, which didn't really do anything anyway. It didn't stop people from being arrested or anything else like that. It was just a case of, I don't know, weird. I completely agree with that, Sheffield. There's a hell of a lot of drivers, especially up where I am, that the roads are normally around about 60 miles per hour as the national speed limit on a single track road. And normally that's about 60, but they normally drive between 45 and 50. And then you wonder why it's wrong. Yeah, I called it a speedometer rather than a tachometer, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. And for a tachometer, you mean for ones that are actually being recorded by lorries rather than cars. So yeah, on that one. Yeah, they're always going to make up more reasons for you to get paid. It's just a way of... This one's just so blatant. I think that's very discriminatory, Miss Quinn, and I'm very disappointed in how discriminatory you are. Just because they drive SUVs does not mean that they should be discriminated against. How dare you? I find you completely and utterly racist for the SUVs. True. Yeah, but as you quite already know, Mr. Moz, and you've already said, the speed dial or the speedo or whatever you want to call it, it can be around about 4 to 5 miles actually off, especially in older vehicles as well. So if you have an older vehicle, say that's about 10 years old, for instance, the speedo naturally decreases in its speed anyway, or being able to monitor the speed and what's going on. So if you were doing 30 and you were at the right top end of 30, but your speedometer is quite old and not perfectly accurate, then it's a case of you can say that you were doing 30, but your actual speed was 35. And there's no way that you can disprove that at all. You can't take that to a court of law either. And that's what's completely and utterly ridiculous, especially about driver's crime. It's absolutely ridiculous. Alright, do you guys have any other points on this whatsoever? If not, we're going to have to move on to the last story of the day, which is the female genital mutilation. I was happy for a minute until I realised what the last story was. I was really happy. Because to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. Being on your own, you're kind of wondering if you can feel dead air or not, or if you should feel dead air, or if you should try and leave it as... I don't know. Try and leave it as is and try and be as natural as possible. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to be as natural as possible, but yeah, I'm still a little bit nervous because I'm on my own. It's completely my stream, and whatever I decide to do is completely up to me. Which, yay for that, but There is no free, Quinn. There is no free. Stop it. Stop it with the free. There is no free. There is no spoon. There is no spoon. There is no spoon. I'm not doing... No! I'm not doing MOTs for you. Fuck off. I'm not doing MOTs for you at all. You can go away. I don't know what 177C is, Memes of Destruction. You're going to have to tell me what that one is. Your inane references do not seem to be doing anything for me today. Alright, so is everybody ready for this story of female genital mutilation? Because if you are, I'm not. I'm not used to it at all. Right, so let me get to this story then, and then we can do the last one, and we can have a little chat through it then. Find out what's going on and everything else like that. You know when you get everything set up and you're like, yeah, this will do. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then you kind of try and do it. It doesn't work. Yeah, I've got that at this moment in time. I'm just trying to sort out a last little bit, and I don't want to transition over to it when I'm not ready yet. So, see you in a bit. There you go, back again. Sorry, I never get used to the actual transitions, it's weird. Right. Child needed surgery after London botched female genital mutilation operation. Bear that in mind. An operation. So let's move down. Every time. Every fucking time. Alright, let's move down. Oh, telling. So let's just make sure that everybody can read that. No, they cannot. Right, let me just zoom out a tiny bit so everybody can read this. Because, you know, life's good. Alright, let me just see if you can read that. Yeah, you can read that. Alright, good. So, a 3-year-old girl was rushed to hospital for emergency surgery after a botched female genital mutilation procedure in Sadiq Khan's London. So, a 42-year-old man and a 36-year-old woman, both understood to be of African background, are due in court to be charged with FGM. I really wish that they would actually tell people what FGM is, which is female genital mutilation. Offences after the incident was investigated by the Metropolitan Police Child Abuse and Sexual Offences Command, according to the London Evening Standard. So the Africans are accused of having excised... Sorry, that word's a bit weird. Infibulated or otherwise mutilated the whole or part of a girl's labia, mornia and clitoris. Ouch. Ouch. I bet that fucking hurt, poor girl. Especially considering that she's only 3 years old as well. As well as offences related to extreme pornography, naming images of child abuse and bestiality. Oh dear. Oh fuck. That's not very good, is it? I wonder if it's the man or the female that has this. So, female genital mutilation has been a crime since 1985 in the United Kingdom. But in over 3 decades, the authorities have yet to secure... Now remember this is from 1985. They have not yet secured a single conviction and mounted only a tiny number of unsuccessful prosecutions, despite the National Health Service logging thousands upon thousands of victims. And yes, we are going to have a look at that. So people that do watch this stream at another time can actually have a look at it and actually realise that there is such a massive problem in the whole of England for that amount, to be fair. So this says that there's a new female genital mutilation case every 2 hours. Let me just zoom back out again, otherwise you won't be able to read it again. Just to make sure that you are being able to read it. Not yet. Right, that's about as good as I'm going to get it for you. Right, so around 4,500 new cases of female genital mutilation were recorded in England over the last year. More than 1 every 2 hours. So that was 4,500 in just last year. Just last year. Ridiculous. Between April 2017 and March 2018, around 6,200 women and girls who visited a doctor, midwife or public health service in England had been exposed to the form of abuse at some point. That's 6,200 women in the UK officially at this moment in time that have been or are a part of female genital mutilation at some point. Some cases had already been recorded, but 4,495 were being logged for the first time since the government made it compulsory for medical practitioners to report cases of female genital mutilation in 2015. Excuse me for a second. Since then, there have been 28,000 1,326 medical attendances of females with female genital mutilation and 16,265 newly recorded cases. But however, an estimated 137,000 women and girls in England and Wales have been exposed to the practice overall. In the past 12 months, nearly half, 2,755 of attendance cases were in London, where 1,415 were in the north of England. Interesting breakdown on demographics there. 1,200 in the Midlands and East, and 745 in South East England. Interesting how those numbers break down, isn't it? Very interesting how they break down. How mostly in a Muslim populated area, or most densely populated area, London having almost twice the amount of anywhere else. Then you have the north of England, which is at 1,200. And you have the east of England at 745. Ridiculous. Of the cases where both the age of the victim and a place of birth could be determined, 86% of the women and girls were born and had female genital mutilation undertaken in an African country, the NHS added in a report. Female genital mutilation has been a criminal offence in Britain since 1985, and since 2003 it has been illegal for British citizens to carry out the procedure, female genital mutilation, abroad. But the police and prosecutors are yet to secure, again, a single conviction. The National Police Chiefs Council, FGM lead, describing the crime as nuanced. It's not fucking nuanced at all. Not nuanced at all. And that's from the actual Police Chiefs Council, FGM led, describing the crime as nuanced. That's ridiculous. No wonder why it's not actually being done and dealt with, and no wonder why there's no form of bloody conviction. Let's get back to the actual story, otherwise I'll be going off into tangents. I will quickly link this in the chat for everybody, that if they want to go and find it, they can. But I am going to quickly transition back into myself so everybody knows what's going on and what we're actually doing. So, excuse me. I've got really bad throat at the minute, I don't know why. I'm a bit tired. Which is always great when you're on a live stream and you've got the camera looking straight fucking at you. Because I'm a dickhead. I absolutely think that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to have the argument with people about is female genital mutilation as bad as male mutilated generation. I think both are fucking ridiculous. If it's to do with religious practice, then wait until the person's old enough to make that decision for themselves rather than making a decision for them. You're actually taking, for men obviously and boys, you're actually taking a part of their skin off without their permission. Yeah. No, I agree with you. The Jewish people do it quite often. I absolutely, completely and utterly agree with you. I think male genital mutilation is absolutely redundant and absolutely repugnant to me. I have no idea why this actually carries on. No idea. I will leave this link in the chat for everybody. Sorry, I completely and utterly forgot what I was doing then for a second. So if anybody wanted to go and have a look and put that through as a bookmark or anything to use against anybody, yeah. Really bad. I completely and utterly destroy that. I think that's really bad. Absolutely really bad. Really, really fucking bad. But I want to get back to this actual story. I'm actually with you on this, actually, Jesse Jennings, or JJ, again, sorry for that. I'm actually completely and utterly with you. I absolutely agree with you that even if it was to do with Jewish people that were cutting off the foreskin, Muslim people cutting off the foreskin, whether it's Middle Eastern, whether it's Westernized, whether it's Australians, whether it's Martians, I don't give a shit. Anybody that touches any form of genitals and mutilates it, that's what it is when you cut the foreskin off. For me, I don't think that they should be able to practice that, and I think they should be arrested, and I think they should be charged, and they should be prisoned. Even if it is a case of a religious practice, I don't give a fuck. Wait for them to be able to decide whether they can do that. Wait for them to, after the age of 12, for them to be able to decide if they want to do that. And as for the facts of girl mutilations, I don't think anybody that should even ask females to be able to change and do that. The reason why is because the actual genitals themselves are completely different to a male's genitals. The male's genitals can function without the foreskin. Admittedly, still very, very bad, and I completely agree with everybody that it is very bad. But at the same time, if you were to do everything that they say to do with a female genital mutilation, where you're actually cutting things off, and you're actually making things smaller on purpose, so that they cannot enjoy anything, so it hurts everything, it's completely and utterly, as you quite just rightly said, JJ, torture. And I completely and utterly agree with that statement. I completely and utterly agree with all of those statements, and I think that they should be imprisoned. But that's my opinion on it. No, I agree with you, Jesse Jenners. I do think that the males do count. I think Moz is playing with you as well, by the way, Jesse. So play nice when you come back to him. Play nice. I think he's playing. So we're going to go back to the actual story, so we can actually finish the actual stream off. So right, we're back at the story now. It has often been suggested that this is because it is difficult to secure convictions without the testimony of the victims, who are often reluctant to speak against the perpetrators. I wonder why that would be. Would it be because that they would have felt that they are completely and utterly tortured at this point in time after having their genitals, literally their most private parts and private assets, completely and utterly ripped apart? Or cut open or sliced apart? Do you think that they would be, wanting to go and tell people what's going on with that? Are usually African background parents. But this is contradicted by the record of the French authorities, who face a similar phenomenon but have mounted hundreds of successful prosecutions. I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact of that they don't give a shit about the law. They do care about the law, sorry, not they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about the people that they're prosecuting. Once they have enough evidence and once they have you arrested, they actually are going to treat you as a citizen. We do not do that. We give them peripheral preference. It's ridiculous. We, as I said before, we give one rule for one and one rule for another, and that's absolutely ridiculous and redundant. All it does is increase the actual chances of people coming across and actually doing this and knowing that they're not going to get tried for it. Right, let's carry on because I'm getting annoyed. So, many critics have suggested that the British state's scandalous record for FGM should be attributed to the political correct sensibilities of senior police officers, who have often been reluctant to take on criminals from minority communities. Most famously in the case of a Muslim child grooming rapist, ever since Lord Scarman levied the dubious accusation of institutional racism at the police in 1981. Oh my Gideon, it's absolutely ridiculous when we know that this is actually for a fact, and yet we don't have that problem in France, and yet we do in our own country. It's ridiculous, that. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's carry on, otherwise I'll end up fucking crying about how our community and how our country is literally dying. The actual process of a westernised democracy and westernised culture and English culture is fucking off and leaving us. It's ridiculous. And very, very quickly, that's the reason why you should vote UKIP for you English people, rather than giving it back to the Conservatives and giving it back to Labour. Indeed, the West Midlands police force caused uproar when it told a member of public, demanding to know why no FGM convictions had been secured, that prosecuting jailing the parents of FGM victims was unlikely to benefit the child in early 2017. Yeah, I can imagine why they would be fucking pissed off. Yeah, it's not going to benefit the child, is it? It's like trying to say, oh well, you're raped. It's not going to benefit you if you prosecute the rapist, is it? Oh, you murdered somebody's murdered one of your members of family. You don't want justice, do you? You know, it's not going to bring them back, is it? Ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. The force quickly recanted in response to the backlash that accusations that an informal policery of not pursuing charges against parents organising female genital mutilation procedures was in place increased after even Bala Hatchett, the National Police Chief's Council lead on honour, violence, female genital mutilation and forced marriages, wrote a semi-literate letter to a former police officer claiming the crime was nuanced. Now that fucking word again. The crime isn't nuanced. Just because somebody says it's part of their religion to go and fucking hurt children does not mean that in our country that it is prohibited and it is allowed. It is not. It needs to be omitted. It needs to be got rid of. Not to be seen again. Not to be heard of again. The reason why you leave your countries and flee into ours is because you believe that the country is actually better for you. Adopt our laws and adopt our culture. Otherwise, fuck off and go back. Stop mutilating and fucking children. There are many nuances to this crime type. No, there isn't. Which even third sector charitable organisations do not claim to share a nexus with your rationale of concerns for the lack of successful prosecution, he claimed. I'm just not. That's from our police. That's from our police. Absolutely ridiculous. So what does everybody think about that story? Let me know. Let me know as soon as possible. We're now coming to the end, obviously, so it should be okay for everybody to ask any questions that they want, which is what I'm going to do as a normal thing now. But please let me know what you actually feel about this story. So, hopefully, it'll be a... What does everybody actually think? I keep on saying that. What does everybody actually think? Let me know. Everybody's still going on about the fucking male and female genital mutilation. I think that the actual purpose of this is you have to remember that both male and female genital mutilation is wrong. Both of it is. Regardless. There are different properties and different nuances to the actual effects of the genital mutilation. For instance, even though that it's the foreskin that has been cut off, the actual penis itself can still work and still carry on. Female genital mutilation, on the other hand, is very, very discomforting. Can have a point of actually not being able to use your urethra, where you pee out of. The point of clitoris hurting even if at the simplest touches. The fact of your labia, which is the lip, so to speak, or the skin on the excess skin on the outside, not even being able to make any sort of form of hole. The holes being so small that everything fucking hurts, so you can't do anything. Though that there is a nuance between these things, we have to equally agree that both of them are equally bad. That I absolutely agree with you, Quinn. There should be fucking tests before. Obviously, the clit's not required for babies. Just because JJ, you have to remember that with the female genital mutilation is that they grow with the mutilation there. It's not the same as the penis when it's just the skin. Right. I completely agree with people that if it's medically designed and medically ordained that you need it done, then you need it done. There's nothing wrong with that. The same as if you have a religious practice and for some reason you wanted it, then go and fucking do it when you're old enough, when you're 16 and 18 and able to decide what you're doing. We're talking about child, female and male mutilation at this moment in time. And the thing is, both of them are very bad. Both of them are absolutely abhorrent. Neither of them should happen. But to say that the male mutilation is in even the same league as what female genital mutilation is ridiculous. I'm sorry on that, JJ. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. The point is on the male one is that it's just the skin being removed. Yes, it completely and utterly mutilates the actual penis itself. I understand that. It's absolutely disgusting. But it's not when you're actually cutting up the actual vagina itself and letting it fucking grow at a detest and mutilated stage, because it's actually skin and organ at that point. That's all I was trying to suggest. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to, as everybody's still in the middle of talking about the female genital mutilation and everything else like that, I'm guessing that there's no actual questions for me at all or anything else like that at this moment in time. If you do, please let me know. Yes, the foreskin does have more than double the nerves, but once it's cut off, you don't feel it anymore. The thing is, with the female genital mutilation, you still feel it, JJ. You still feel it because you're growing with it. Anyway, I'm going to agree to disagree with everybody on this. Everybody has their own ideas of what's going on. For people that are just listening in themselves, please have a look at the chat. You can understand what's going through. If you just listening into us on the radio, so to speak, or on a podcast, then basically we were just talking about female genital mutilation and male genital mutilation. Because, you know, it's a fun topic. Because that's just what we do. But, yeah. So, with that being said, guys, I'm guessing that there's no more questions or anything else to that. We're just going to be talking. So, I don't have any final words. I'm very thankful for everybody that's come across and actually... Have you seen CNN trying to dox Manafort and Mueller? Yes, I have. I have seen it. I don't have too much to say on it at this moment in time, apart from obviously CNN are trying to do whatever they can to intimidate Manafort, to try and make sure that they get a conviction out of him, to force the actual ideas, because they've got nothing. After this, they absolutely have nothing. I normally use Head and Shoulders, Quinn. Why would you even suggest that? All I do is wash my hair with Head and Shoulders. If you're asking if I use like a wax or anything else like that, no, my hair is naturally this fuzzy. Just natural. Right. I think I'm going to leave that there, guys. Thank you very much for coming onto the stream, and thank you very much for giving me the support. I know that a couple of people have retweeted this out. If you wouldn't mind retweeting it out, then that would be perfect. If you wanted to post it on Facebook or something like that, or whatever social media you have, absolutely perfectly fine with me on that one. Thank you very much. If not, just like the video as best as you can, because that will really help us try and get some more subscribers. I am actually, getting very close to 500. I mean, well, I'm at 478 or 479 at the minute. So I am getting close. So one old gigantic push, and then we might be there. We might be alright. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get off. I'm going to say thank you very much. I bid you farewell, and I bid you adieu. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye for now, guys. Cheers.